Hey, it's Pierre from Squash Source. I have a review today of Gearbox squash rackets. I have two rackets here, the GBX 135 and the 125 model, and they have a third model that is the 145. A big thanks to Squash Galaxy and to Gearbox for sending me these rackets to test out and review. I've been playing with these for a couple of weeks, and so I have some feedback for you on how they felt on court. Gearbox as a company is based in the US, I think California, and they've been in the pickleball, racquetball, they've been making rackets for other sports for years, and they've now entered the squash market. They have made what feels like high quality rackets, and so even though they're new to squash, they already know what they're doing from their years of experience in other markets. So these rackets, when you pick them up, they feel very light. That's the first thing I noticed out of the box. I did an unboxing video, which you can check out for a little more, maybe on the cosmetics and such. When I got these on court, I was struggling to figure out why they weren't feeling right at first, and I realized what it was is that they're actually quite head heavy. You pick them up, they're very light, and you think they're going to be these light, flicky rackets, but they actually got a bit of weight in the head, which in my view gives you extra cut on your ball almost. It helps you guide your swing through the shot. So even though you have a light racket, you aren't prone to being kind of whippy and trying to flick the ball more than you should. It helps you swing fully through the ball, which I personally find is helpful to my game. So both rackets had a balance point of 37 centimeters, which is one of the heaviest balance points I've measured in Squash Source history. The 125 gram racket on my scale had an all-in weight of 140.5 grams. And the 135 had an all-in weight of 152.5 grams. So they're still relatively light for their in their class, you know, amongst 125 and 135 gram rackets. They appear to be very sturdy designs, like I said, and they have a concave frame that gives them additional sturdiness. I feel when the grommets in there, you can see are kind of inset into that concave frame. That to me gives the frame additional sort of rigidity and feeling of sturdiness, which I personally enjoy. The rackets come with a vibration dampener attached, and I didn't realize this at first, but it's actually permanently attached, or at least you would have to cut out the strings in order to take it off. So that is embedded in there. That's an integral part of the racket, and it does make a difference in terms of the vibration on these rackets. It's very, very dead feeling. They do not have much vibration, and after testing these, I then went back to my usual racket, and I thought, wow, my usual racket had a lot more vibration than I realized, and it was only from switching to these Gearbox rackets and then going back did I realize that. Both of these have a slight fan-shaped stringing pattern, which I enjoyed. I find the fan shape gives you a little more power and moves the sweet spot up a little bit, but this was more only moderately fan-shaped. Some are more dramatically spread out, and so this was only kind of it wasn't as strong of a difference from a traditional shape racket, which I actually thought was nice, because sometimes I have a difficulty adjusting to those fan shapes. This just gives you a little more power. What else can I tell you? I noticed that it's a little detail, but the Gearbox logo is the same on both sides. So if you spin this racket, you won't be able to tell if it's up or down. So you'll have to put a little piece of tape or a white dot on there or something like that to tell them apart. The Gearbox rackets are retailing for $199 in the US, so they are on the pricey side. And what we will have to see is the quality of the build and the longevity of these rackets going to be commensurate with that price point. And we shall see. Again, they have a lot of experience making rackets for other sports, so it'll be definitely interesting to see how this company develops in its push into squash. The owner of Gearbox, I've heard, is traveling around promoting squash at the grassroots level, driving around in a van around North America, kind of going to different clubs and showing off his wares. So maybe he will stop by your club one of these days to show off. Maybe he'll show up in Philadelphia. I don't know. Of the two, my favorite, usually I would go for a 135 gram racket over a 125. I usually like that little extra heft in the racket, but because they're both head heavy, I actually preferred the 125. I was able to have that feeling of getting a full swing on my shot. It didn't feel so light that it wasn't there and that I was kind of just flicking at everything. It allowed me to have a light racket but still feel like I was coming through nicely on my shots. So that was my personal favorite of the two, was that one, because like I said, because of the head heaviness, made it feel like it was a nice solid shot, but it's still light enough to be quite maneuverable getting around the court. So hopefully that was helpful. Again, these are Gearbox squash rackets. Thanks a lot.